Today I will explain how to implement a proportional hazard model in Monolix and how to calculate the hazard ratios. Proportional hazard models are one class of models for time-to-event data. In a proportional hazard model, the hazard can be written as the product of a first term that depends only on time and on some parameters, and a second term that depends only on the covariates and some parameters. The fact that I can separate on one side the effect of time and on the other side the effect of the covariates is a key point in proportional hazard models. The first term is usually called the baseline hazard, and the second term is the link function. Because a hazard must always stay positive, a convenient link function is the exponential, which is positive whatever the covariate value. So the canonical form for the link function is exponential of a parameter beta times the covariate. The form of the hazard equation implies some hypotheses, for instance that the covariate effect does not change over time. If these hypotheses are correct, then the proportional hazard models are very convenient. They are convenient because the hazard ratio for two different values of the covariate is very easy to calculate. If I'm looking at the ratio of the hazard when the covariate value is x1 and when its value is x2, I see that actually the baseline hazard cancel out and the hazard ratio only depends on beta and the covariate values. And this is true at any time. If I take an example with two covariates, for instance age and treatment, the hazard can be written in the following way, which is equivalent to this equation here, where I have separated the different exponential terms. For each covariate, I can calculate the hazard ratios for two different covariate values, keeping the other covariates equals. In this example, I have plugged in some values, for instance age 70 and age 50. These ratios can be interpreted in the following way. Individuals age 70 are 1.2 more likely to die than individuals age 50. That's what this number here is telling me. Similarly, individuals with treatment are 0.5 more likely, so this means twice less likely to die than without treatment. This is what I get from this example here. Proportional hazard models can be handled with semi-parametric or parametric approaches. In the semi-parametric approach, also called Cox models, available in the R package Survival for instance, the baseline hazard is left undefined and only the betas are estimated. This allows to work on the covariates without having to define how the hazard is evolving over time, so without having to characterize the shape of the survival. It is in particular possible to test if covariates have an effect on the survival and also to quantify the size of this effect. If I reuse the same example dataset with age and treatment, the Cox model approach in the survival package would give me the estimated betas that are called coefficients for the treatment and age, as well as the exponential of the betas and the confidence intervals. The confidence intervals are calculated using this formula with the estimated beta and the standard error. In Monolix, we use a parametric approach where it is necessary to define the baseline hazard. To make it easy for the user, a library of the most common models for the baseline hazard is available in Monolix. It is then possible to add covariates in such a way that we get a proportional hazard model with on one side the effect of time and on the other side the effect of the covariates. If we have such a model, we can calculate and interpret hazard ratios exactly as in the semi-parametric approach. In particular, Monolix outputs the estimated betas and the standard errors. The big advantage of the parametric approach is that in addition to the covariates, we also characterize the shape of the survival, and this allows us to perform simulations with the model. It is also possible to estimate joint PK time-to-event models, where the drug concentration or a tumor size, for instance, that can change over time influence the hazard. Note also that in the semi-parametric approach, it is mandatory to have a proportional hazard model. Otherwise, the baseline hazard does not cancel out. On the opposite, in Monolix, any type of model is allowed. For instance, accelerated time failure models, as long as they are parametric. Now let me show you how to proceed in Monolix. I first load a time to event dataset for the example. It contains the column ID, time, event will be tagged as observations that are events. Then I have one category called covariate treatment and a continuous covariate age. I accept, and I will, as a first step, take a model from the time to event library, and I will start very easy with an exponential model, no delay, and one event at maximum per individual. If I look at the content of the model file, I see that the hazard is defined here as 1 over TE, with TE being the characteristic time. So as initial value, I will here put 100, which is the typical order of magnitude for the time in my dataset. In the statistical model tab, it is common for time-to-event models to remove the random effects and consider that the only inter-individual variability in the hazard is due to the covariates. I add the covariates age and treatment on TE, and I can see the formula for TE here. Let's have a closer look at this on the slides. I can rewrite the expression for TE in the usual space, just taking the exponential. And then if I look at the hazard, which is 1 over TE, and replace TE by this expression here, I get this here, where I can see that I have properly have on one side the baseline hazard, that in this case is constant, and on the other side the effect of the covariates. So this is a proper proportional hazard model. Back to Monolix. In the estimation task, I will keep the population parameters, remove the EBs and the conditional distribution as I have no random effects, add the standard errors and the likelihood, and run. It runs very fast. I can close and go to the result tab, where I can see the estimated beta for age and for treatment, along with the standard errors. In the test section, I also have the results of the VALT test, which tests the null hypothesis that beta is equal to 0, which would correspond to no effect of the covariate. Outside Monolix, I can calculate the hazard ratios for two different age values. And here, for example, I have taken H2 equals A and H1 being 1 unit more than H2. And this gives me the following value. And from this, I can state that each additional year multiplies the probability to die by 1.0138. And similarly, for the treatment, I can calculate the hazard ratio and conclude that treated patients are 0.7327 times more likely to die than untreated patients. As this is below 1, it means that actually treated patients are less likely to die. I can also calculate the corresponding confidence intervals using this formula here that uses the estimated beta value and the standard error reported by Monolix. But actually, if I go back to the Monolix run and look at the time to event VPC, which is the main diagnostic plots for time to event data, I can see that my exponential model is not appropriate to capture the shape of the survival. To get ideas about alternative models, I can look to the documentation of the model library. And on the online documentation, I can see that my data resembles the survival of a Weibull model. So let's try a Weibull model. This model is also available in the library, so I can go back to the library and choose a Weibull model instead. The hazard for the Weibull model is the following. I can keep the initial values 100 and 1, and here do the same as before, remove all random effects and keep age and treatment on the characteristic time TE. Let's again check on the slide how the hazard look like. If I replace TE here by the following expression, I get the following. And I see that this is not a proper proportional hazard model, in particular because in the link function I have the parameter p that appears that actually belong to the baseline hazard. And this means that my hazard ratios will depend on p, which is something that I don't want. So a solution to this is to rewrite the Weibull model with a different parametrization to obtain a proportional hazard model. This is the equation I have in the library, and if I replace this part here by a new parameter called lambda, I get the following. And if I now add the covariates on lambda, I obtain a hazard which is properly separated, with on one side the baseline hazard that depends on time, and on the other side the link function that depends only on the covariate and on the betas. The same reparametrization can also be done for two other models from the library, the Gompertz model and the Exponential model. However, for the other common models, there exists no way to parameterize the model such that we end up with a proportional hazard model. Note that this parameterization is less convenient in terms of the meaning and interpretation of the parameters. That's why it is not included in the library yet. But I can implement it as a user-defined model. This is what I have done in this second run. As structural model, I have written myself this small piece of code where the hazard is defined as I have shown on the slides. And age and treatment are added as covariate on the parameter lambda. If I run this model, I have, as before in the results, the betas and the standard errors that I can use exactly as previously. And if I look at the diagnostic plots, I see that now my model captures much better the experimental Kaplan-Meier curve, but I still see some deviation here and here. If I check the online documentation, I may want to try a log-logistic model which has a thicker tail as we see in the Kaplan-Meier. As I said, there is no way to parameterize a log-logistic model and add covariate on a parameter such that we get a proportional hazard model. So one option is to define the covariate model not in the graphical user interface, but directly in the model file where we have more flexibility. This is what I have done in this third run. First, to make the covariates available in the structural model, I have tagged them as regressors. Then in the structural model, I have loaded the log-logistic model from the library, opened it in the editor and modified it in the following way. I have added the treatment and age as inputs here and tagged them as regressor using those two lines. And then I have multiplied the baseline hazard by exponential beta treatment times treatment and exponential beta age times age. The two betas are also added to the input parameters that will be estimated. In the interface, I see that the covariates do not appear here anymore, but the two betas are here in the parameter list. I need to be careful to set a normal distribution for them such that they can take negative values. As before, none of the parameters have random effects. I can run this model. As before, I can see in the results the estimated betas and the standard errors. If I look at the VPC, it's maybe slightly better here and here, but a bit less here, so hard to say which model is best. Note that because the covariates are considered as regressors, I cannot use automatic covariate search methods that are usually available here, and I also don't have the val test. To circumvent these drawbacks, there is another way to implement this model. The trick is to add a dummy parameter in the hazard that will be fixed to 1 and on which we will add the covariates. I will show this step by step. So first, I go back to the structural model and load from the time to event library the Log-logistic model. I can then open the model in the editor to start modifying it. And the modification I will do is to add here a dummy parameter that I will call hcurve, and that I will also add to the input parameters. I will save this model next to the dataset. And load it instead. Next, I will go back to the data tab and tag my covariates back to covariates, so age and treatment. And then in the statistical model tab, I remove all random effect, and this time I will add the covariate on this dummy parameter hcurve. If I check closer on the slides, my full hazard will be the following. And actually, I don't want this hcurve pop to be here, so what I will do is to fix hcurve pop to 1 such that it disappears from the equation. So to do this, I go to the initial estimates and here fix hcurve pop to 1 and run it. In the results, I still have the betas and the corresponding standard errors, and what is very nice, I also have the val test, and I can also use the automatic covariate search procedures if I have a lot of covariates. So as a summary, if you want to take a model from the library without any modification, only the exponential model works. If you implement a Weibull or Gompertz model using a different parameterization than in the library, then you can add covariates on the lambda parameter and get a proportional hazard model. If you need another shape for the hazard, you will need to use the covariates as regressors or to introduce a dummy parameter on which covariates will be added. The regressor method has a disadvantage that the covariate search and val test cannot be done automatically. It's still possible to do them manually. On the opposite, the regressor method is the only one that allows to consider interaction between covariates. For instance, to have a beta for the first covariate, a beta for the second one, and a third beta for the product of the two covariates. For a given model, all methods give the same estimated parameters. In addition, for the example dataset, the values and standard errors estimated by Monolix were also very close to those estimated by the survival package. So to conclude, if you don't need interactions, then the last method with a dummy parameter is the method of choice. It's very easy to implement and you can use it with all models. Have a nice week and stay safe.